Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Benefactor at Chaotic Neutral Games. I'm Simon, your DM for tonight, as we join Corinne, Nick, Kate, and Felicia with their adventures in Illyria. Don't forget that you can help or indeed hinder by using your channel points in the game. Check out the options below the chat bar. You can also join the chaos by clicking the Discord link in the channel notes, or support what we do by becoming a subscriber. So let's rejoin the players for episode 101 of the Benefactor. And welcome back, everybody. We haven't got Rodrigo. Get well soon, my dude. But the rest of you have got plenty to do. When we last left off, you guys were all going to bed after discussing what you think that you needed to do going forward. Plenty of things to do. Certainly enough evidence that the architect isn't particularly gone. You've had a few little bits and pieces with regard to that. However, there is a more pressing need, an old rivalry. Actually, that sounds more wholesome than it is. The being that killed half of Farewell's family, actually over half, the Witch Queen, a large, gaunt figure made out of dead flesh, presumably mutated of the original Witch Queen. That you don't know if she was a hag or a witch, but of a particular race. What you now know is that she's the spindle-limbed, twisted creature, long fingernails in impossible thorn-like claws, capable of casting magic, a dagger-toothed maw, and attended by what seemed to be some kind of casting greater undead. Started doing some research with regard to that, and a bunch of you are hunting in your own different ways. Aiden is using the resources of the Duskhold, a strange interplanar castle that appears at dawn and dusk. The Summer Court, led by a king that you now believe is probably acting out of ennui, is hunting through dreams, using the connection of the Feywild with the dreams of mortal beings to try and find information on the Witch Queen so that they know when to strike, when to appear in the mortal world, which they can only do for limited periods of time. Farewell himself, obviously, has an angle on this. You know the box that leads to the void, a metaplane, a plane between planes. This one in particular is the largest. It's nothingness. Anything that enters there because it's not sustained by the will of the gods depletes. And yet you've started getting some idea that things can exist there. As long as something...
I mean, exist is a strong word, but yeah.
Some things can last longer than others. Normally by force of will alone. There are other fish to fry, of course. You are well down the road for trying to find the heart of Jordan, for example, whatever that may be. And then some of the rest of you have other agendas to pursue. You have recently been given a bunch of gifts thanks to a loot bomb, which was given by Sekian. Thank you, Sean. And General Amala took the some of the tokens that are given as part of, or claimed as part of duels, and handed them out to yourselves to use in the coming battles. And you rolled well on the loot bomb. You got things that were effectively permanent. And just to give you a heads up, you have the Cup of Living Frost. Once per day, you can drink this draught to have Armor of Agathis level 2 cast upon yourself. Hammer of Frozen Wrath, which is a +1 hammer. And when you get a critical hit, you can use it to. You can choose to sunder their armor instead, literally shattering any AC bonus they are given according to armor. Staff of the Poppet, which summons a zombie once a day that all foes must do a save against or attack the puppet. Ring of Thunder's Grace.
Can I just add in that I feel like when that gets summoned, the person then has to say "Hello, Poppet" in a pirate voice.
Yeah, definitely.
Hello, Poppet.
Ring of Thunder's Grace, a peculiarly powerful yet oddly specific ring that throws you exactly 120 foot, no less, no more, in the direction of your choice as a move action. And then Gem of Storm's Vengeance, kind of a bit of a blood magic item here. When you're hit, you may roll any unused hit dice that you have left in your pool and deal the number on the dice, not with your con modifier, just the number on the dice, as lightning damage to the attacker. So, Amala has shared her thoughts with you, Kate, and has given you all somewhat of a boon. And unless there's something else that you wish to ask her, I did allow you to kind of sleep on it.
Oh.
She bids you thank you and farewell, saluting Cora. It seems strange that this, and I will post the link again.
We had super funny farewell.
Because this time she's in the physical. She can control it more when she's in the dreaming because she can just take a role in the dreaming. Hey, Scum. So yeah, you this being, this very powerful true fae, had an effect on some of you, depending on how similar or different you are to her. Do any of you have any questions before you turn in for bed?
No, much to ponder on, nothing further to ask because I need more detail.
Okay.
What is your favourite colour? What's the terminal velocity for landladers follow?
European or African?
I don't know. Right, anyway, now that we've finished that off, Amala, as I say, salutes Cora and says, I'll see you in the hunt.
Yeah, see you there.
And finally, a final kind of ripple of her fingers through the lion's mane. She steps back, and a shimmer of heat and a sudden flush on your cheeks, those of you who are affected. She disappears.
I mean, Aiden got really, really grumpy, so he's now gonna go off and be grumpy, I think.
Yeah. Aiden goes.
Okay, you really need to introduce us to more Fae.
Well, yeah. Oh, I mean, they don't usually.
Especially if it does that to Farwell, I want to see more of that.
I mean, that is kind of hilarious. And
I
yeah.
don't blame him.
No,
She
I
was
mean,
really hot.
She's literally in many ways
in the
very
literal
hot.
sense, yes.
Yeah, but she's also
As this
my superior. So
as this is going on, Farewell simply takes out his book, opens it up, gets his pen, unscrews the lid, puts the lid on the end of the pen, exhales deeply through his nose, and just starts writing. Doesn't say a thing, doesn't look anywhere. He finally opens his eyes because, like, you know, she said her farewell. He doesn't look around, and he just writes.
Just ignores us.
To remind the viewers, Farewell has a pen. When he writes, it's absolute gibberish. But when he reads it, it's the stuff that he intended to write.
Yes.
It is a form of secrecy that is available in Illyria.
To all of the other characters this may, like especially Cora, who makes a habit of reading Farewell's journal.
Complete scribble. And
but
comprehend languages doesn't work.
What she thinks is written, and it's funnier
Yeah.
to her because currently she's thinking he's writing a little confession of love.
Yeah.
I think what's more upsetting to Farewell is that when he keeps reading all of your notes in the margins, where you've all just decided to write things
Yes.
in there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
write
So we
things and
just
draw
like
things.
right. Yeah.
It's like
It's
I
like-
totally
like-
agree. Big arrow pointing to something that we don't know what it
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I
Eclipse
think
is
we
just
have,
a paw
How
print.
scandalous.
yeah, we
Eclipse
have,
is just a paw print instead of Eclipse was here. It's just a paw print in
Yeah.
the book.
yeah. But we know we have our own pages, and like some of those pages are in like actual things we can read, and some of it's not because you got it like halfway through the campaign.
Yeah.
So like on these pages we have like scribbled notes, like
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's random
It's very
shit.
much Doctor's handwriting. It is sort of a weird mixture of cursive shorthand and just hieroglyphics.
It's
to
just
everybody
so,
else, and
Doctor.
it's just-
It's the same way that they used to do all services in Latin. Doctors just like to kind of do it because it makes them look all mysterious. We all know that they're crapping themselves and guessing. Anyway,
They're just writing mental note. Google this later.
yes. Yeah, you read it and it goes. It almost says, "Is Ask Jeeves still a thing?" Kind of thing. Right. Anyway.
Oh, Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
Oof. You search engine boomer, you.
Oh God! Hey, don't make me get my Netscape out on you. So
Oh.
I'm old. No. Anyway,
Oh,
with
shut up.
with Amala leaving, the sudden glow and energy to the room peters back down. Before we go further, Kate, roll Cora a insight check, please.
No guidance for you because you're a
Not-
shit.
Two.
Shit.
That's a 19.
Yeah, beats it by some way actually. Yeah. You're kind of there grinning farewell. And as you're doing that, and you're kind of reliving the glory of the situation, lowercase g, you feel your skin getting a little warmer. You kind of look at your hands. And as quickly as it appears, it disappears. Strange. For a second there, you felt that kind of glow, that energy, returned into the room momentarily.
What? And then I felt it leave, or did I just feel like I was aware that it came back? Or am I?
You're
I'm
aware
probably
that it
not
came.
sure.
You're aware that it came back momentarily. Whether anybody else did, or whether they would say, but your skin felt like it was a bit warmer. No, that you felt like your skin was glowing for a second, and you quickly looked at your hands, and no, it's not. Strange.
We good? I mean, I'm gonna probably go back and see her now in a second. So, cool. That was
Tease her, please tease her about farewell. Or tease farewell.
Stop teasing people in positions of authority. It
I'm
never ends well.
not planning to, but
Or,
I can tease you all I want, and I walk into my room. I'm gonna look. I'm looking around the room. Is Enola there?
Enola is not in your physical room.
I'll just probably telepathically just sort of ask Eowyn if she felt that last little thing that I just felt.
Yeah, it's part of your Fey nature. That's normal, right? You you kind of do it more or less all the time, but yeah, it was a little stronger than usual. Why is that?
No, I haven't really. I don't use it much, and I guess well, maybe the general being here just made it feel different. I don't know. It just felt strange.
Fey of her strength bring a lot of the Fey wild with her, but were you just, I don't know, did you just kind of take the opportunity that the Fey wild was closer, that you channeled some of her energy? Or, I mean, she is part of your pact. She's part of your...
I guess maybe I don't really know. I've not really used those charms. Not for a while anyway. Anyways,
Do you want to try?
probably not on any of them. Because that would be weird. That would.
And everyone else here is dead. Next village we get to.
Yeah, okay, sure. If there's someone interesting or hot or...
Well, no, it won't make them fall hopelessly in love with you. It'll interact with them. They may they may fall hopelessly in love with you, or momentarily want to
Do something.
share an experience with you, I suppose.
Okay.
You notice that she kicks she kicks something on your bedside table with quite some force, and seems to be angry with herself for some reason. And she goes, "But yeah, people will just dismiss it as a moment's thought. They'll think it's their hindbrain, the subconscious, doing it. In a way, they're kind of right. That's where the Fae kind of get their energy from. But yeah, we'll try it. You what's the worst that could happen? No, don't worry.
Okay.
I can quite happily send somebody to sleep, and they'll forget everything if
Okay.
that happens.
Sure.
Anyway,
Okay, talking of sleep, I guess I better go and see what's actually happening over there.
Sure. Do me a spellcasting roll.
Ooh! That is... Ooh! Wait, that uses the spell attack, right?
Yeah.
31? I rolled a 19 and I've got a plus 12.
You jump onto the bed, and you're kind of half of your body is still sat up. You're kind of, you know how you're rolling into bed, right? Kind of rolling back on your butt. Like your back isn't even touching the bed yet. You close your eyes and woof, you're gone. You find yourself standing in front of a familiar suit of armor, your knight's armor, in the Feywild. Next to it is your weapons, the various accoutrements that you need. You can see that perched on the balcony outside is your sunhawk. You're wearing a few bits of your clothes. It's almost like you're in the middle of getting ready to get dressed. You're currently wearing trews, kind of like a set of moccasin shoes that go inside plate armor. You never even given much thought to them. The armor's just always been really comfortable, but of course, this appears underneath. You have your jerkin in your hand that has the sunrise and castle symbol of the Summer King, and you're wearing kind of like an undershirt, seemingly holding the jerkin as if you're about to put it on. You look back and around the room. This is Enola's bedroom, but it's changed. Extra furniture, extra bits. You recognize immediately, as one can only in a dream, that a lot of the furniture here belongs to you. And with that, we're going to pan away. We'll come back to this later, because there's other people going to bed.
I have abandoned I have abandoned Aiden as he is in grump mode, and I have decided that my next victim is gonna be Farewell.
Who is still sat in the main part of the sort of carriage at the table.
Yeah, so
still
currently she's like curled up under the table, like on your feet, or like making you resting your feet on her at something. As soon as you move, she's gonna follow you.
Yeah, which he won't actually, because he'll have he's got like the 2 books in front of him. He's got a third book. One of the things that he's doing is he's practicing taking, basically trying to learn how to transcribe spells book to make it a spell book.
Yeah.
Some of the things that Farewell is transcribing, you recognize. Simple, well, I say simple, structural arcane glyphs. You're an arcane trickster, you know them. They are the scaffold of what is considered to be classical magic, the magic that wizards practice.
Because I know
Some of the stuff he's scribing makes no sense to you at all, to the point where I would say you almost dismiss it as him using the cryptic's pen.
And I can only do up to 3rd level spells, so more complex stuff, but though I have quite high intelligence at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you recognize them as spell glyphs rather than gibberish, which, yay, go you. But this stuff, you're just like, where's he getting this shit from?
What's that, Feather?
These are the glyphs that you are...
What are you doing under there?
Yeah, the head is literally in your lap.
Yeah. It's just, how
Sleeping.
How long have you been down there?
Says the general left.
How long's that been?
An hour
I
now.
don't have a watch.
I don't know, the clock. Says the
Yeah,
cat.
I don't, yeah, who has a fucking watch? Yeah.
Yeah. People who live in caravans look at the sky to know what time
Yeah,
the day
I was
is and
gonna
what they
say,
need
he's
to
like,
do.
looks
It's
looks at-
nighttime.
looks at Looks outside.
It's
Still
dark.
dark.
Dusk has completely fallen now. There's only a small amount of very, very dark midnight blue to the sky. The rest is darkened. The stars are coming out. Those that you can see by the fact that you have a canopy pretty much all the way around you. But the village has just about got enough of an angle that you can see some stars.
So what does this one mean? I don't quite recognize it. I recognize it as spell glyphs, but
Those are the glyphs you've been building, Farewell, as part of your research.
illegal glyphs.
Yep.
Probably best if you don't know, if I'm completely honest. And that's not me trying to be rude. It's just safer for everybody if you don't.
You do realize that those are like the worst words you can say to me, right?
I do, but I also take
Cat, you're not allowed to look in this box.
I also take some small comfort in that you are at least mature enough to understand that when I say that it will fuck with causality, that you will understand what that means.
Oh, okay. I shall go back to sleep now. Good night.
She nuzzles disturbingly into your crotch, and you carry on doing your studies. Reminding yourself, it's a different culture, it's a different culture, it's a different culture.
I mean, it must be so exhausting, like, if you have two tabaxis, that, like, how do you, like, express any sort of interest that is not, like, I would just want to cuddle?
It's more the fact that of just, well,
Maybe they're just very blunt.
now
when
I'm
they ask.
stuck.
You really are. And the thing is, if you try to get up and she's comfortable, there's just one of her hands just goes on your knee and the claws start.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The worst thing is when she gets the kitten dreams and just starts kneading.
Yeah.
It's like
Left
fix it
testicle,
later.
right testicle, left testicle.
well,
so, yeah.
actually not, but like my legs. But yeah.
I mean, the claws are actually natural weapons. They do 1d4 damage.
They do.
Yeah.
Tabaxi.
It's it's more as well. Just couldn't you picked Glory tonight or Cora? I mean, she leaves her physical body there. She fucks off, but the physical body's there. You're gonna sleep
No.
against that all your
No.
life.
No, Cora's
No.
physical body does not exist when she sleeps.
Yeah. Farewell's not seen that. He's been asleep first. I mean, all the time that they've been together, Farewell's been the one that's either gone to sleep
And the
first.
first time you see it, you're going to shit yourself because she literally
he's not
disappears.
there. Or he's
Yeah,
not
and
been
all the
there.
girls know because girls' nights.
Yeah, we had like
Exactly.
sleepovers.
Exactly. So Farewell has no clue. As far as he's concerned, this is purely metaphysical, and she's in the Fae, or yes, because she really
as
goes
opposed
to
to a
the
body
Fey
literally
wilds.
turning into Fey matter.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
Okay.
as far as Farewell's none the wiser.
So you carry on with this. Why not? You're comfortable. Crotch is a bit warm, but comfortable. And you seriously, if you're a cat owner, you know what I'm on about.
Yeah.
Um,
He's upstairs at the moment, thank Christ.
but yeah, you start to just work through stuff you've been doing for ages, and in a way, sometimes you feel a little fraudulent in that you're wondering if you're going into tin hat territory, because a lot of this is interpretive, and you feel like you've gone really far with this, but you don't know if it's just that you've just made up a lot of shit that now you've added your own rules to your own mad ramblings on the paper. You carry on with the work, and you find yourself kind of drawn into it, going almost catatonic. Just a rhythmic scribing, repeating in some cases, adjusting a glyph here and there to something that just feels better, has a different intersection. And with the rhythm, you're not sure if it's sleep or not. You're standing in a room The room is almost a perfect box. There's no light source, but the light seems to emanate from the walls, which are a bright white silver. So much so that you know silver. You have actual silver pieces that you work with on a daily basis. Silver has a kind of bluish grey element to it. This is bright silver, like mithril or platinum. You're not sure which. You've never seen it so flat, so perfectly polished, geometric. In the middle of the room is a curious artifact. One side, tethered at the wall, is this strange braided cord. Mishmash of ribbon and leather thonging, various other materials that you recognize as being useful in clothing, even, strangely, some colorful looking sackcloth and hessian. At the end of it is a key. Key is made of this, you're not quite sure, it's bright as gold, but it's not gold. At least it could be the dream state of gold, but it's almost like it shines as bright as residuum, for crying out loud. And the key is held on a stand. In fact, the stand at the top has a ring, and the key won't pass through it. You can see from here it's quite wide. It's quite wide key. But the braided cord goes straight through it, and the key is just dangling down. Before you look around to take in anything else, you do notice that in the strange, colorful braided rope, someone's decorated it with small green gems, or maybe small green pieces of metal. You're not quite sure because they don't quite look translucent. You haven't gone up close enough to see. You turn, and unsurprisingly, about 3 meters from where the key currently is dangling, there's a door. A very straight, very flat door. A simple handle, once again, geometric, almost dwarvish in its design. And underneath, a keyhole that, just at a glance, would absolutely fit the key that is currently hanging from the eyelet on the pole. What would you like to do?
So first thing Val does is he goes to the key and the braiding, and he sort of does that bit where, he sort of squats down on his haunches, puts his sort of hands together like that, just studies it for a moment. Is it detailed, the key? Is there any sort of markings on it, or is it simply just a silvery, sort of bright mithril kind of key?
It's kind of gold. The room is
gold.
The room is kind of mithril-y, platinum-y. As is the stand with the eyelet on it. The stand with the eyelet on it is actually steel. It's how you can tell that everything else is so bright. The eyelet is almost dove grey in comparison with the metals. The key is bright gold, brighter than any gold you've ever seen before. Gold itself can be yellow, it can be white, it can be a rose gold. White gold isn't necessarily white; it's just a brighter version of a gold tone. This is a very, very yellow, very bright, and again almost emitting light kind of key. It could be a key made of residuum, and there are no markings on it. It looks. Actually, there's something to note about it. There are standard things that blacksmiths put in keys. One of them is that they put a little rise, a little knobble, where the key depth is supposed to be. There's not one there. The key itself, now that you're looking closer, doesn't have any markings on it for tumblers. It's just a square key. Just any square flagpole-like design put in that lock would probably turn it. But you do notice that you're currently wearing just your regular clothes. You're not wearing armor. You check and your holy symbol is there. But you don't have your book. You don't have... that you feel like you might have some things in your pockets or something, but but it's got that kind of dream state thing of going, yeah, there's something in there, but doesn't specify what until you go rooting around for it. Yeah.
Interesting. So he sort of out loud goes, I really hope this is not one of those metaphysical a lock isn't a lock, and it's the literal. And quite simply is a curse. Oh boy. Okay. I've really got to stop changing planes or sleeping better, one or the other. Alright. Do the simple thing. Why does my legs hurt? It's just so weird. Right, okay, focus. Right. Fine. And I reach out and I just simply I don't move it. I simply place my fingers onto the key.
Yeah.
So I'm not grasping it. It's just the fingers are on there, just initially, just to get a sense of what's going on.
Kind of a buzzy sensation. You know that some very powerful enchanted items will sometimes do this if they haven't been used in a while.
Interesting.
You get a sensation of power under your fingertips, an energy source.
And is there enough length in what the thread and the rope and on the key to take it to the door and place it in?
When you pull, you get about 1.5 inches. No. You're short by about 2 and a bit meters. But actually, most of 3 meters.
You know, Renata, if this is your way of like trying to be clever about the threads of fate and severing cords, you know, a conversation works infinitely more better with me. But let's try it. And I do the same sort of mental action and normal sort of physical movement that I would in order to try and coalesce my knife into my hand.
The knife appears in your hand, but it just doesn't seem as real as everything else here. It almost feels like the knife is confirming its presence tethered to you.
Well, see if you work. And I cut the cord, or at least I try to.
As you bring the knife down, there's a sensation in the back of your head that you know that this knife would be able to do the job. However, as you get close to the rope, it disappears. And moreover, it's not just that it disappears. You're the one who let go of it. You unsummoned it yourself.
Okay, so we're not going direct routes. We're on to more, complex. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, and I sort of roll up my sleeves. Look at that. I think, right. That's great. I try and untie, and for sort of expediency's sake, because there's lots of things. Farewell will spend. I go, can I untie it from somewhere? He's quite strong. Can he forcibly pull the thing free? Can he try and stretch it? It's the looking for the answer that doesn't necessarily come from the powers and the stuff that he has first.
I would like you. What's the first thing you try? rather than you montaging it.
Farrell's the type of person that would probably try to untie it rather than Nick would just try and pull it off because zug zug, but like Farrell would try and untie and at least not damage it. He would take care to do it gently.
Okay. As you get to the unraveling part of it all, I would like a few rolls from you. First is a perception check.
Hold on. I actually need to go and bring my character sheet because he's still technically sat at level 12. I've not leveled up yet.
Oh yeah, this is your leveling.
Yeah, perception. Okay. Ooh, okay, hold on. That was bugged. That was cocked. Sorry, bear with me one sec. Okay. That is an 18. Not a great roll from me.
Okay, you do notice something that is probably a useless detail. Some of the threads in this braid, and the braid is must have been done by a genius to make all these different strips of cloth weave in and out of each other in a perfect way. You do notice that there are certain things like paper and vellum and what's known as scrub cotton wool, effectively. And you're kind of like, well, that I can break. But you do also notice these curious green adornments, at which point I want you to roll your choice, but you only get to roll one. You can either roll History, Arcana, or Insight.
Well, I'm going to go with Insight because, I actually have proficiency in that one.
Okay.
So let's give that a go.
Scumfuse, that's in a game coming soon.
What the... you gain 3 levels in Taylor. You know what? It's one of those ones where you do kind of wish that you had there was some kind of crafting system. Okay, that is a 24. Again, I'm rolling on the ass today.
With the 24, as your hands reach out to... You're not so much going to start the unraveling straight away. You're going to do that kind of thing where you just kind of splay the fibers a bit and just see how they're tangled with each other. Try to figure out where your starting point's going to be. One of your fingers goes to brush up against one of these small green adornments, and you get the unmistakable taste of chaos in your mind.
Ah, interesting. Okay. And it's when you say it's a dormant, is it like a physical object, or is it actually one of the things that is sort of tying in? So it's like
Now you look at it. It's a very strange bead. So the bead is just a regular round bead, but like a kettlebell, it has a kind of ring on the top. The thing that's most strange about it is that some of these beads just have a piece of fabric going through them. But in other cases, it's got tiny little details. And again, you rolled 2 pretty good scores, like a slip knot. You can see that in one of these, I'm hoping you know your knots here, you've got the ring, and then a loop goes through the ring. They make a slip knot, so it can't pass through the ring. But if you were to pull, the slip knot would disappear and the whole loop would come through and the bead would come loose. How very curious.
Interesting. Okay. But I'm not going to immediately do that because now I've seen this one bead here. I want to work down the thread a little bit. Just looking through and just seeing if there's chaos here. What else is there here? You know, they've Is there anything else within it? Because whilst there's a order to this, and quite clearly these are different materials being woven together to form a binding of order, there's much more than chaos, at least as Farewell's rudimentary understanding as life goes, to how the universe should work, or at least from a religious sense, even though he's now broadening his horizons.
You work your way down the threads, and you're actually noticing the threads that's kind of adjacent to it as well, because they might be important. You notice that almost all threads have at least one adornment. Some have two, some have more. Every adornment, as you get close to it, you feel that taint of chaos close to your skin. It feels dirty, bad, harmful, almost like radiation, I guess. Give me an intelligence roll with proficiency.
Oh dear. Good job, relatively smart boy.
You got a smart cat sleeping in your lap.
She ain't here.
Well, I'm here.
At 19.
19. There's something significant about the chaos and its precarious placement. In fact, you're starting to think this entire room is a trap.
Fuck. I'm never going to hear the end of this. Okay. Let me stop out again. Okay. All right. Best way to deal with the trap is to trigger it. So I go back up to the top, go to where the slip knot is, take a deep breath.
The slip knot is is a tiny little slip knot going through one single adornment.
Yeah, it's the top one. It's like, because it's the one I know where it is. So it's,
sure.
Whilst there's other adornments later down, this is the one. So if it goes really badly, like it hurts me or it causes something wrong, at least I've only done one rather than rip the whole cord out. It's that sort of almost, this might hurt a little bit, but I'll survive this. I hope. And so he goes back up to the top. Deep breath, prayer, pulls, lets it go, but I want to make sure that I'm holding the bead so it doesn't drop and hit the floor, but I've still got hold of it.
You pull the slip knot, got this bead in your hand. It feels bad, it feels wrong, it feels harmful, but you don't feel like you're being harmed. It's not nice. You don't like it. It makes you feel slightly sick to your stomach. But you're there holding the bead. Nothing else happens. It's unpleasant. But
it's unpleasant, right? Put the bead on the table.
There's no table.
I thought there was a little steel thing.
There's a steel rod with an eyelet on the top. It's literally just a rod with a circle. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, what have I got in my pockets?
When you put your hand in your pockets, you have a variety of items that you would normally expect to be there. Some coins, some charcoal, a stub of a pencil, a few scraps of paper, some fluff. Usual stuff. A dried goodberry that's probably well past its prime.
Well, I should throw that out. Am I being too cautious? Am I being overly cautious here? I feel like I'm being it's one of those ones where Farewell's now so used to having all the others around him that it's almost second nature for him now to just start asking, just talking and expecting to respond. And then so he's sort of sat there in this empty room of no space. He's in his own. Hello, cat.
I heard.
Trouble goes, I heard I was in this scene.
Hello. Have you finished?
Sure. I can bring him.
It's so loud. Trouble, come say hello.
Girl, say hello, Trevor. Ah, yes.
There we go. Has cat on lap now.
Cat stream.
All the props.
Yay, yes. Oh.
It's a tabaxi.
So interrupt the serious moment for just here is my cat. As you can tell,
Cats
he's
of
a
the
noisy
internet.
boy. He's a
He is a
very,
best boy.
very noisy boy.
Yes, Trevor, yes.
Into the mic.
Yeah. Okay, you can go down now. There you go. Which means he now won't let me pet him for a while because he'll go off and sulk.
Yeah.
He will go off and sulk. But yes, that was your dignified cat break.
Mhm.
There you go. Yeah, off you go, you sulky boy.
Holding the bead. Let's bring you back in the room.
Yeah, bead.
I love designing these.
Genuinely.
Has
Yeah.
like Simon? I'm sorry, I kind of spaced out. Has Pebbles disappeared physically, or is he still there? Like,
No, Farewell hasn't moved at all.
okay,
He's comfortable and nice, and
No,
other
cool.
other than a flinch, which was totally unreasonable of him when you put your claw in his leg. He's still there. In fact, you can still hear the scritching of his pen.
okay, everything is fine.
Everything is absolutely fine.
Don't panic. Everything is fine. Everything is all right. Yeah, I'm concerned about being that, but there's two ways that Farewell sees this is going, and oh well, I've died once, and I just start working my way through the thread, and I start like untying them all. I start like meticulously and carefully, one at a time, working, opening out, isolating those little nuggets of chaos, and then very carefully, as long as I can, removing them from the braid.
Okay, what are you doing them once? What are you doing with them once you have them?
They're all in my right hand at the moment.
Sure. It doesn't seem to be increasing that much the more that you hold in your hand. In fact, once they're in your hand and you close the hand, weirdly, 1 feels the same as 20. Some of them, you can see the loop, the thread goes right through. There's no way of untying them. The only way to untie them, I guess, would be to break whatever material's going through them. And some of them are leather, some of them are pretty strong material in some cases.
This is very confusing. As he sort of like paces around the room a bit, and he's got these things in his hand. It's like, why? I put them in my pocket because he doesn't want to hold them in his hand at the moment. He's both his hands free.
Sure. Roll me a luck dice. Yeah, roll me a luck dice. And I will choose this form of luck dice.
$66.
66.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to luck dice being
impressive on a
percentage.
D20, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, you do yours on a D20. Sorry, I'm used to a percentage system.
Oh, right, sure.
My
Okay,
apologies.
yeah. For me, luck is a D20.
That is an 8.
8. Sure, no problem. They go in your pocket. Happy days. For those of you who don't know how I use luck dice can be odd even. They can be above or below a particular number. Sometimes I'm just asking them to roll to see whether they get a 1 or not. But I never say what it is.
Go 1 fishing. Off you go. Good boy.
Yeah, you put them in your pocket. They go in your pocket. Pocket doesn't feel any different, actually. And you put quite a few in there now. You've untied the chaos from quite a lot of the cords. There's some more, but you're making your way through it.
And there's no obvious way of just like quite simply lifting the key up and threading it through the hoop.
Nope, the key won't go through the hoop. The oval at the top doesn't go through the circle.
Yeah.
It's one of those like puzzle things.
Annoying escape.
It's a DM puzzle
things,
which
yes.
is based on escape rooms.
Yeah.
I really want to know if the first escape room was done by a D&D DM because you have to.
Probably is.
I do want to do an escape room with you guys because I think that would be hilarious.
I'm terrible at them.
I'm pretty good.
My solution to everything is just zug.
Yeah, I mean like zug.
I did
it's the fastest, like, you know, point from A to B.
Yeah.
That's that. Well, that's
I
through
did
the wall.
a,
Then through the wall we go.
I did an escape room with my family, and Simon was there as well. But we were 2 teams, and we were like in the same one with the one whichever one did the fastest. And Simon was in one team, and I was in the other. And the one team I was in.
Who won?
I did.
Oh, they won. They won.
I've done
Yeah.
a teamed one. That sounds fun.
They just do identical escape rooms, and it's whoever gets out first has bragging rights.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice the blacklight paint on the bars.
Yes, there was a blacklight thing because you guys you got the blacklight on, but you didn't because it was like a little camera thing where like
it's hard to explain on stream.
Right.
It was hard to explain when I was there.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. I'm good at escape rooms until I'm not, and then I get frustrated. I enjoy myself in a weird way, but whilst being frustrated. And by the way, if I find that the player is stuck, I normally get the other players to come and chip in, because obviously this is a focus on Farewell at the moment. And that can happen, but at the moment Farewell seems to be doing quite well, and there are consequences to this that only affect Farewell. So at the moment, I'm just going to let the guys watch
that's my
him
concern.
squirm.
That's the reason why he's concerned, because there's something going on here, and he's smart enough and wise enough to know that he's potentially dabbling in something, and he's in some that's intended to catch him out, and he's just like sat there going, "Oh boy, okay." We go to the door,
Sure.
and there's just knock.
Sounds very, very hollow.
Oh, there's no hello. It's never a hello. Okay, so that gets rid of that idea. I actually don't know any wizard spells. It's like I cast knock. You know, I cast knock. Okay, this is beginning to get silly, and so it's like I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I'm not smart enough to figure this out. So it stops, and he goes, "What can I do?" And he's thinking, what spells do I have prepared? And realizes that he's got all of his fighting ones prepared, and as such is completely useless for what he's now struck in, because he doesn't think a 5th level flame strike is going to do a whole lot of use here. Nor does the usual raise dead or mask your wounds.
Easy. Flame
Fuck it. Yeah. Or maybe sunbeam, you know, just be like, you know, Kamehameha wave the door. You know, just laser beam the door down.
I mean, you're making good ground on taking the adornments out, but some of the adornments you just can't remove.
gonna see. It's one of those ones where he just sort of slaps himself really hard, and it's like, yeah, it'd be too easy that would wake me up, wouldn't it? Now my face hurts.
There is no darkness, minion. All the walls emit light.
Yeah.
Hey, Prime. I got Nick on the spot. I'm indulging in the DM thing of watching a particular player squirm.
Yeah. Especially when the particular player knows the DM there will be consequences no matter what he does. And even doing nothing is a consequence himself, but he's like almost paralyzed by indecision.
You can ask more questions, you can inspect more things, whatever you want.
Yeah. It just seems tried working my way through the thing, tried untying it,
yeah, you're working your way through the thing. You think you'll be done soon. The only ones that will be remaining are the ones that are that have a piece of thread going through it.
Which I will leave for now. I will leave those for now, as don't know what will happen if I take those out or forcibly take those out. So I'm just going to continue on the path that I am. As for all that Farewell can tell, at least that is having some sort of effect. I can't believe I didn't prepare anything just in case I needed to get myself out of trouble.
You do notice that as you start taking the adornments, well, as you continue to take the adornments out, you are seeing certain loops and bends in the weave that will allow you to pull. You kind of see that one particular piece of thread is going like that, and it has a loop going through it. And you go, if I pull that out, these two will both lengthen. You are starting to see answers of how to lengthen the cord by undoing the braid. Just kind of there. You go, oh yeah, I see that part. As you continue through, because you're now meticulously going through what is about 5 meters of rope. And the rope is thick. It's like about that. It looks like some sort of strange pageantry rope, decorative. All the threads are variations on blues and bluish greens and some up to lilac.
Not a smart boy. Nick, the problem is Farewell is smart. Nick is stupid. Nick is dumb.
Nick is really dumb. Nick goes.
If you can't do something dumb, do something calculatingly stupid.
Yeah.
This is D&D.
Yeah, it's the, you know, Nick no understand and confused now.
I've get the one clue I can give you is I've given you everything that you need.
That's that.
And this is not a
that's
lateral.
even worse.
This is not a lateral
like,
thinking test. This is a role-playing test.
Yeah,
well.
this is.
So
this is,
you don't have to provide me of an answer. You have to go through the motions and learn.
We can't give up. We can't give up. We can't give up. Okay, fine. Fuck you, stupid fucking thing. Right. It's the again, like it's the one where he goes to like roll his sleeves up again, but they're already rolled up, and it's like, fuck. It's like, and so he's cleared as much of the stuff that he can clear.
Yeah, I'm going to say that because X amount of time, as far as time exists here, you're pretty certain that you've got all the beads now that aren't hard mounted with a piece of thread going directly through them. To the point now where it's looking quite sparse. Your pocket should feel full, but even though if you put your hand in there, you can feel there's lots of them. Doesn't feel particularly full. And you put your hand in, you get the same kind of feeling of queasy, chaotic taint.
Lovely.
But you can see quite a few areas now where if you start unraveling, the rope will lengthen.
So I start doing that. I start then picking out the ropes and gaining sort of length and distance as I can. If by doing this that it begins to sort of loosen the ones that have got like rope and other stuff through them, I'll start taking those out as well. If I can actually free a singular piece off myself, what I'll do is I'll want to take that, as I have a plan to do it.
You find that as you start unbraiding it, that all of the individual pieces of this rope lead from the wall to the key. None of them come loose. Each one individually is tied from the wall to the key, and it's only the way that they are mashed together that makes a difference. That shortens the rope by braiding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some that you have to take a bit of care of because they're a little more fragile than the others. But with due care and attention, the length starts to grow and the key starts descending lower and lower towards the floor.
Once I get it to like a sensible point where I've either freed what I can in terms of the bead and I can't get any more, and the key get to the floor, what I'm going to do, and this is going to sound a bit strange, is that Fel's concerned about having a pocket full of quite literal beads of chaos that he can feel uncomfortable to him to touch. So, as he knows that nobody's around, he will take his trousers off. Stay with me here, and making sure that nothing spills out or goes anywhere. He looks in the inside and unpicks the pocket from the trousers, trying not to destroy the thread because he needs it. Will pick out the pocket, keeping it as assembled as he can, and then using whatever thread he has to tie the pocket into basically what becomes a pouch full of these beads that he can put to one side. And then behave, off to horny jail with a lot of you.
Horny jail.
Next to the dice jar.
And then we'll put his trousers back on. You lewd people, you. And then figure out whether or not he's got enough. Yes, only if you're British, of course, Kate. And then see if he's got enough distance now to sort of get the key to the door.
First time you check, you realize you've got a good 2.5 meters. You look back and go, yep, there's some other bits that I can unbraid, and you're working your way stolidly to lengthening the cord to the point where the key will fit in the door. And yeah, you've got this little bag of beads that's on the floor at the moment. And I presume you're just going to persist with this.
Yeah, for now, because this is the only one that's an obvious sense of sort of progress that's going forward. But, you know, if there is additional beads that appear, they go in the pouch.
The only beads that are remaining are the ones that are on the threads. And yeah, as you're putting things through, there's a couple of things that hit you. First of all, the more you start working with the threads, you realize that each of the threads have names. You're not sure what the names are, but you just got a feeling that each one is named. There is a point where you get so much extra length that it's a bit hard to keep it taut. And part of the section sags. And as it does so, a certain instinct kicks in. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh boy. It's all right, I'm good at these, purportedly. 27.
27. As the thing sags, one of the threads, a gossamer thread, a lilac gossamer thread that you know has a particularly imaginative name, but you're not sure what it is, sags, and you can see the bead where the others are sagging as a bow. This bead is making it sag like a V, to the point where the bead is going to be the first thing that touches the floor, and instinctively your stomach lurches. I would like you to do me either an athletics or an acrobatics check.
I'm going to go with athletics because that's the better one.
Sure.
Ooh, that's a dirty 20.
You dive to the floor, dropping the key, which, other than clanging a little bit and a few little kind of motes of light as it hits the floor, you go forward and cup your hands under this bead. It hits your hands, and you're there with this bead inches away from your eyes. Give me a history check.
No, you naughty, naughty bead. Oh, wow, now I'm rolling good. Oh, that's okay. 21.
Suddenly, you get this surge. Caravan, long time ago, you went to a dwarven deep town. It was the easiest way to get through this mountain range. They had a deep road that went through it. The carriages could go through fine. You stopped there. It was different. It was interesting. You took on a lot of information, and suddenly you get this thing. There was a metal. You remember, it had like a jade color to it. It looked like a kind of bright steel, but it had a jade color to it, a slight green tinge. And they explained that this stuff is orichalcum. And they were bringing it through, and a lot of the guards, the dwarven guards, were shouting for people to get out of the way, to the point where one of the hosts that was allowing you through the city actually asked you to park the caravan so that this train went through. As they went through, a piece of ore tumbled out of one of the carts. A dwarf threw himself to the floor, catching it, and picked it up, threw it back into one of the other carts, started looking at his hands, and brought out his water canteen and started pouring it over his hands, as one of the senior dwarfs of this started reprimanding him for piling the orichalcum ore too high. When your father asked what was the problem, they said, it's the orichalcum. We managed to find a small seam of it when we were going off to mine some platinum. You know those two things should never get mixed together, especially if the orichalcum goes bad. I mean, we don't deliberately dread forge orichalcum. We purify it. It's very useful once you get it processed correctly. It turns into a matte black metal. It gets as sharp as diamond, a little brittle. You have to make a decent alloy with it, but it keeps its edge like nothing else on earth. And he pulls out his dagger, and you can see that it's got this kind of dark base tone to the metal. And he goes, see this one here? I sharpen it maybe once a year. Always keeps its edge incredibly strong. If it was to break, it would probably shatter, but it takes a lot to do that. Also, there's a number of creatures that, once correctly processed, get damaged a lot more by orichalcum. But you don't want the dreadforge stuff. If you do find that any that has gone to the bad, if you're down here, you'll know it by its look. It's as green as the trees outside it is. It's terrible stuff. And the problem is, it only ever occurs around platinum. And you know what happens if you mix those two up. Oh, yes, sir. And the memories just flood into your head. And you look at the floor and go, that could be platinum.
I'm more confused. He sort of just sits there with the bead in one hand and just sort of looks at the floor and goes, don't know if I should that on the floor or not.
You're suddenly very glad that you put the rest of the beads in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, I really need to get you off this thing. Okay.
As long as you keep the rope taut, you should be fine.
Okay, well that'll teach me. And I take I basically wrap it around like my wrist and pull it as taut as I can, keeping it as tight as I'm able to. And if I need to take on, additional length, I will do the same.
Sure. You carry on lengthening the rope. And that's it. It's almost like freshly made pasta. All of them going in the same direction. Beautiful, orderly. And now that they've been unraveled, there's a beautiful array of color. It's really quite nice. The adornments now seem less like adornments and more interruptions in the beauty of what it is. But you're pretty sure that you've got an extra 3 meters of rope.
Enough to get to the door?
Yeah, by your reckoning.
Okay. In that case, I do exactly that. Making sure again it's taut, doesn't touch the floor. And as I go past, I pick up the pouch and I just keep that with me.
Yep, you got your pouch of chaos, yeah.
Yeah, my little pouch. Oh, that's on brand, isn't it? Pouch of chaos. A little pouch of chaos. And so I take my little pouch of chaos and the key and I go to the door and I stick the key in the lock. Twist.
As you turn the key, the thread suddenly goes impossibly long, starts to spill through the room. The door disappears, as does the walls, and the thread goes on and on and on. You find yourself floating in space. The threads now, as they expand and lengthen, engulf you. No longer made of different materials, instead just shades, different colors, some of them glowing slightly brighter than others. Some of them every now and again having a tinge of that sickly green color. Momentarily, in some cases, permanently in others. The landscape around you.
Sorry.
Yeah, the landscape around you is nothing but this weave. And you find yourself not standing on anything, you're just suspended in space, kind of wondering when this became normal. And stood in front of you.
Or his fault.
Stood in front of you.
No.
As much as you can be stood in this open 3D space, is a feminine figure in dark armor. Feathers are engraved into her pauldrons. The cloak on her back seems to be made of real black feathers. The cloak could even be wings. The helm is open-faced, but she has an alabaster mask covering her face. You try to look for any signs of eyes in the mask, and are greeted only with 2 black voids. What have you learned, Farewell?
I am not as smart as I think I am.
So few of us are.
No, we do too much and I can't remember all of it. I need to write more stuff down so I don't forget it. I'm also that I have a nasty habit of talking a lot so that I can stall when I'm quite clearly hi.
Sometimes you don't have enough time to stall. You had a luxury in that room that you don't normally have. It's not often that I see someone work so hard towards a blasphemy.
Yeah, well, you say blasphemy. I would point out that, you know, not to debate scripture or anything, but technically Our Lady was a mortal once.
You're talking to your.
You was.
Or you were. I'm not quite sure yet. And that some would say by ascending to any point of divinity, well, that was blasphemy in itself. I mean, there's the original pantheon for a reason.
So many assumptions.
And don't get me wrong. And don't get me wrong. I don't have
She seems somewhat larger. She says, "So many assumptions, Farewell. Can you find any scripture at which point the gods forbid others to attain divinity and enlightenment?"
Well, the evil ones do. I mean, and there is
At no
necessary.
point have we said that no one can attain godhood.
You're talking to the fucking Raven.
That'd be a little unfair. I mean, yes, okay, you haven't. You know, I figured the first time you and I would probably have this kind of conversation, it would be very different.
Most people are perplexed and underwhelmed when they speak to me directly for the first time.
Underwhelmed is not the word. Perplexed is definitely the word I would use. Not underwhelmed. There is nothing about this that is underwhelming in any way, shape, or form.
True, this one doesn't involve bagels.
What?
That's canon.
You like bagels?
You gotta listen. When you say you love bagels, she goes, "I love the memory of bagels." We're getting off topic.
Yes.
Trying to. Not effectively, but trying to.
You plucked the beads from the braid. Why?
They were dangerous.
How did you know?
I trusted my gut.
You can't see her face behind the mask, but the jawline changes in such a way that you believe that something, either a frown or a smile, has taken place. What did you think of the braids?
I think my friends would call it asshole design. It was exceptionally well made, but somebody deliberately to make somebody else's life horribly difficult.
You know more about the gods than you let on, Farewell.
A great man once said that they're flawed beings. I know him quite well.
If we were not flawed beings, things would be very different. I prefer to acknowledge that we are flawed beings. That way, at least, we consider our actions. This is something that I had to teach the gods when I joined them.
I only imagine that didn't go down particularly well.
There was less shouting than I anticipated. Other people who have followed my path received less of a welcome. But we do not speak his name.
White guy.
Sure. So on a scale of like 1 to very upset with me, where are currently we?
Obliterating you from existence is not on the table.
That's nice.
Congratulating you
I
is probably
appreciate
a little
that.
too far. We're kind of in between. Blasphemy, by the way. The gods specifically ordered through every religion that no one should pursue mastery of the manipulation of time.
Yes, that power.
You have committed a blasphemy.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, that doesn't make me a bad person.
She seems more powerful and more intimidating when you say technically, even though not one part of her moves.
In fact, just sort of cocks his head and just like rubs his forehead, and then coalesces the knife into his hand. He goes, "You didn't exactly give me a fucking roadmap on how to use this, or
I
what
didn't
it
give you that
was,
at all.
or what it is." He throws it behind him, and like it just explodes into smoke.
Disappears.
It's just,
My muses
that's
are not
not-
necessarily working under my orders. I agree with their methods. I don't specifically manage them in every decision. The muse believed that you were to have it.
And you didn't think it might have been good to just, I don't know, intercede and teach, guide? You know, I did ask a lot of questions on the way. I mean, that there's the whole point of, you know, commune is a thing I can do now, and I did try. I asked, and you sit there and you give. I have no desire to wipe myself out of existence, or anybody else. But I won't stand by and do nothing. If I can't through you, and if I can't through my friends, then I will find my own way to put what I think is done wrong right. And if this means I have to go down the path that I am going down, then I will walk it, and I will walk full well knowing that you may turn your back on me. But I have never,
Oh, farewell.
and will never, turn mine on you.
There are many things you can do to lose me, farewell. You have yet to do any of them.
What?
And on the matter of guidance, ironic from one who casts that particular blessing so often, guidance is meant to be correctly applied to those who need it, to those who do not have the capacity, the capability, the potential. We show them a clearly defined path. We cut the paving. We fence the way. We take the dangers from the path. And we declare that anyone who would assault them on that path will feel our wrath. But then there are those, our champions, that cut the path for us. I've given you as much guidance as was good for you to have, even when I withheld information from you. A cattle led by the nose does not grow. You have. She steps forward, suddenly feeling
Crunches
more
his face.
humanoid in proportion. She cups her still plated hands in front of you. And when she opens them, a small kind of pellet, like a glass bead, containing a powder inside, is in her hand. Stay yourself. I wish to see as much care you've displayed here today in all of your decisions. And she hands you the bead. You blink, and you've got a wet crotch. Eclipse has been drooling.
Oh, thank fuck. And there's like this horrible moment where he's just like, oh, that would have been really awkward to explain.
I mean, it's pretty awkward to explain, dude.
Incidentally, the next time you put your hand in your, what was it, right pocket?
Right pocket.
It isn't there. The right pocket is now missing from your trousers.
Yeah.
By the way, the luck roll was if you had a platinum piece in your pocket, the orichalcum would have touched it, and you would have ended up seeing what happens when orichalcum does touch platinum, or at least dread orichalcum. It can be forged into two different forms. It's a nert form, which is very useful, and it's dread form, which is basically a chaos metal. You will see if a orc comes at you screaming with a glowing green sword, you're in for an interesting time.
So is orichalcum a real thing, or is that just an Elder Scrolls thing?
Orichalcum is a real thing, and Nick knows the word well because he plays Shadowrun.
Yep.
It's a powerful metal.
I knew exactly where you were going with it, but like Nick was like, I can't mitigate what that does. I just know it's bad, which is the reason why I took care with it, because it was.
Basically, it's magic uranium. If you fuck it up, it goes really, really bad.
But
Really bad.
But it's not a real thing in real life. From
no, orichalcum doesn't.
no, that's why I asked if that's a real thing or if that's a thing from Elder Scrolls.
When you're talking about games,
Scrolls
it's a real thing in games,
original,
but it's not a real thing in reality. No.
But it's originally from Elder Scrolls, yeah.
No, orichalcum.
Oh, no.
I don't know where the source is, but it's been referenced in a lot of fantasy literature.
Yeah, for a very, very long time.
If anybody does know the origins of orichalcum, very interested. And Hermit's just said most fantasy games have orichalcum. The Elder Scrolls started off not calling it orichalcum; they called it orcish metal. So in Daggerfall, which again I'm old, it was orcish metal. It was you got orcish armor and orcish swords. It only started being called orichalcum from I'm going to go with Oblivion onwards. So yeah.
Halt.
Oh yeah, I was there, man. I was there. I lived the meme. But I made that happen more times than I'm proud of. But yes,
definitely in Oblivion. Don't know if it was in. Can't remember which one.
It's in Skyrim. It's in Skyrim.
Oh, it's definitely in Skyrim.
Skyrim's in the latest one.
Skyrim's a baby. But yeah,
it's 10 years old now.
And it's still a baby. I'm old. You wouldn't have seen it in Morrowind, Minion. In fact, they rename a lot of things in Vardenfell. You're sat there slightly
Hermit. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
right back to the classics.
The god.
Amazing. Nice. Well, I'm wondering now what it is, because things like Aqua Fortis and things like that are all chemical names. Chemistry nerd and a chemist. Like muriatic acid is hydrochloric acid. They've got some really cool names that we don't use anymore. Maybe orichalcum is relating to, could be anything, jade, emerald, who knows. But in this, it is a fantasy metal, as it's being used in a lot of fantasy games. And you can look it up later, and if orichalcum, in Illyria anyway, if orichalcum comes into contact with platinum, a foul and neuropathic gas explodes from the point of contact, which causes people to go berserk. Damages them as well. The book in front of you, Farewell, is full. You've written about 30 pages. As you look at it, these seem to be what you're going to probably call tracer glyphs, and that is a form of divination to look at catastrophic points in the time stream. Time stream, there's always bad stuff and good stuff that happens, but things that are super out of the ordinary, the stream, the weave of time changes so profoundly that it looks different even in representation. It's part of how you can start seeking things in the future, portents of things that could go wrong. You've now unlocked the ability to start pursuing the Chronomancer line.
Woo! I'm taking a level in Wizard.
Okay.
Is Wizard a subclass of Chronomancer, or is Chronomancer its own class?
Chronomancer is a subclass of Wizard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Started off in UA about 4 years. No, less than that.
Chronomancer
it was
completely homebrew. I don't think there's any official
No, there is.
Chronomancer.
If you get Matt Mercer's, the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount adds a time-based wizard subclass for official.
Yeah, and I think there was a UA, or at least a UA proposal a long time ago, which is where I got the Chronomancer from because I wanted to play one. And yeah, they do hinky shit like undoing the last damage that you had, and getting people to re-roll after the event.
Yeah, the one I showed you, Simon, was a completely homebrew thing, but that was years ago.
Yeah, there's one that I've got reference to. I've got it somewhere. But either way.
But basically, the official one that Wizards uses is Dunamancy from Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
Yeah, I'm happy for Nick to use either. Actually, I'll show you the reference to the other one, whichever one you want to go for. We can go for. But yes, and if you want to do something in that direction, so this has always been a thing, obviously, and so this has been right from the beginning of the game. The Chronomancy and all the rest of it is something in Illyria. So I'm not copying Dunamancy here.
No.
I stopped listening to Critical Role when I realized that Dunamancy was going to be such a powerful thing because I didn't want to be influenced. So I actually haven't watched Critical Role since they went into Johast for the first time.
Shall we have our break, by the way?
Yep, good time for a break. And when we come back, we're going hunting. See you then.
Going hunting.
Hunt.
And welcome back. Sorry, we took a bit of extra time to shame Kate. Shame her.
Shame Kate.
For living on Eastern Standard Time.
But we've said most of us, other than Corinne, has been there for very.
Because I'm the only responsible person in like this entire
No, you're
world.
not.
Possibly the youngest and the most responsible amongst us all.
Yeah. What can I say? They grow
Hey!
them more. They grow them more.
Okay, I don't know. I said possibly. I was...
Well, yeah, Felicia is 1 year younger than me.
Yeah.
This-
Okay.
It is
I have like
thing.
absorbed all her responsibility, like
Yep.
all her responsible like brain cells, and I now own
yeah.
them.
Like,
Like
she,
a really
she took my
librarian-esque
responsibility and
mind
my
flare or something?
impulse control, and then she moved to England. Like, I've been screwed since.
Anyway, whilst Farewell is now furiously scribbling, young uns, most of you. Yeah, I really wish I could be in that category. But they,
Kate and
I'm allowed to call myself old. You're not allowed to call other people.
same ages.
No, you're not allowed to say that. You don't say people's ages. It's a very British thing. You don't say people's ages. So, the scene with Farewell is left with him scribbling in his book about 30 pages of mapping now. And you find that as you're thinking of certain events, and you're scrolling down these glyphs and getting them so that they match, things are popping out and it's scaring you. Like, for example, you wrote the journey when you met Merrick. And as you're writing the glyphs for going to that town, you can just see them changing. As you're writing them, your hand moving unbidden almost. You know it's the right thing and it's what you intended to write. It's not like something else is guiding you. It is your hand. It's you're doing it. But the thing that fits, once you go and look at it as a whole, suddenly just kind of bends. And we're going to leave you with that. Because Cora, you are standing in front of a suit of armor. It's clear that you're just finished getting the kind of clothing that is under the armor on. Before you pull the jerkin over your head, I can hear somebody, that's like a TV or something in the background. As you go to put the jerkin on, suddenly your neck explodes in this warm lightning bolt of sensation as Enola kisses the nape of your neck. You know that she must be an otherworldly creature, because anybody who had to bend down that far to kiss your neck would normally end up having trouble standing back up. It's like she's bending at an unnatural angle at the moment in order to do this. The sensation of nervous energy shoots down one of your arms and down your spine, makes your left knee turn into jelly momentarily. And this whisper at your ear goes, "Hey."
Hey.
She's in the middle of putting on her jewelry. She's got a quite nice courtly costume on. The kind of bodice part of the dress does look very slightly armored. You don't know if that's a particularly robust corset or she's wearing kind of a warlike wardrobe, or it's genuinely very well disguised armor. You pull the jerkin over your head, and you can't remember when you learned how to put on heavy plate, but it's there mapped out in your head of how to put it all on.
I continue to just put it on like it's normal, and I kind of look around at her and at the the surroundings? And is there a window? Did you say? Like, is there a balcony or something?
Windows. Yeah, your Sunhawk is on the balcony
Yeah, you said
at the
about-
moment,
yeah.
just kind of basking. But there are large windows looking out onto a beautiful kind of Mediterranean summer landscape.
If I look out, does anything else look kind of different to me? You said that some of this furniture looked like it was, like I knew it was mine, but that's new, right? It's not necessarily, hasn't been there before, or has it?
No. Whenever you've appeared in Enola's bedroom, it's been in Enola's bedroom.
Yeah.
Her bedroom's bigger now.
I'm
as a
right. What? As in, it looks like a different room, or it's grown in size somehow.
It's the same room, but if you were thinking in practical terms, it's almost as if a wall's been knocked through. But the way that you're looking at it, it's like it's always been this way.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking that I've somehow, like, I have that horrible suspicion of, like, when we lost those 3 weeks, that I have jumped forward in time and I don't remember stuff. Either that, or it's a flash forward type thing, or, you know, something. This isn't normal. Like, the Feywild is usually kind of the same
It's
every time I'm
perfectly
there.
normal. Perfectly normal. It's
So
felt
I'm
like
not.
it's-
So I'm not feeling the things that Kate's thinking right now.
No,
Or it's just like-
you don't feel like there's a time jump or anything like that.
Okay.
If anything, it's almost as if the Feywild has bent itself around your presence and accepted you as part of it. Remember, in dreams, if you open a door, what you need is on the other side of the door
Yeah.
for the narrative to
I
work.
mean,
It's like that. It's like you haven't opened up the drawers to the armoire that's to your left, but you know what's in each drawer.
so, and this doesn't feel weird to me, is my question, I suppose, for you. Okay.
No, in the same
Okay.
way that in a dream, if you're in a building and part of the dream, it's necessary for you to know that it's there, you know. And yeah, this is
Okay. Cool.
a
Then I'll
lucid part of
scratch
you
that
thinks
idea
that this
from my
is
head
wibbly
then.
wobbly.
Yeah,
stuff.
it just seemed sort of like quite a sudden change, and I didn't know how she would think. But if she's not fussed about it, then she's not fussed about it.
No, Enola seems to it passes without comment.
Yeah. So the general came and visited the caravan tonight.
She went to Mundus.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she came to talk.
What did she talk about? And you can see she's really shocked when she says, "What did she talk about?"
I mean, the Witch Queen.
Oh, she came to talk tactics. Oh, yeah. Hey.
Wait, what did you think she talked about?
Amala's always have been headstrong. It's why Father loves her so. She's been his bodyguard and the master of the summer host for, well, certainly as long as I've been alive. But apparently, the tales of who preceded her are so old that no one knows to tell them. But she can be as headstrong as Father can. Between the two of them, it is one of their flaws. That's why he relies so heavily on me, where, though I can be as emotionally driven and temperamental as anyone else from Mundus, I am less of a slave to it. When Father is taken by an intrigue, he is like a charging bull. He doesn't stop until there's a crash. With me, I can, yes, I am compelled to run in certain directions, but I can stop, even turn around, suddenly reassess how I feel. Changing Father's mind is difficult, not impossible, but by his nature, most people don't have enough influence over him to be able to do so.
No.
It's why I considered a vital part of the royal household, and also why he takes sworn. You know that the word she's saying can also translate to warlock. Sworn like yourselves. It tethers him to reality. He is able to muse on why you make certain decisions. Part of the pact is that he knows what you're doing, well, when you're in London at least, at all times.
Yeah. How is your dad, do you think?
Deliriously happy, and don't get me wrong, I want him to be happy, but I more want him to be content. He's excitable like a child before a festival. He's believing this is going to be the next great tale. He doesn't accept that there are going to be the possibilities of varying degrees of success.
Are you worried at all?
Always. The more powerful, I know I've probably said this before, and so have many others, but the more powerful you are here, the more you're a slave to that which gives you power. You'll find this yourself soon enough. You wouldn't be able to perform the charge of passion without feeling passion. That band on your finger kind of connects you with that. It's almost getting you accustomed to what it is to be us. It responds only when you succumb to the responsibilities it holds. It is a diluted version of what we feel here, but the more powerful you become, the more you will be compelled and in a way enslaved. And I guess the more you travel towards our nature, the more warnings you will have of what it entails, so that if you do decide to join us, you will have been forewarned as to the price. I'm being such a misery, Guts. And she goes and picks up what seems to be a beautiful blend of summer fruit juices, pours 2 elegant-looking glasses, runs straight up, hands one of them to you, and starts fussing over one of the buckles on your pauldron.
Yeah, I did that already. That's fine. It's meant to be wonky. I mean, is that 3
It's not
down?
meant to be wonky. You've twisted it.
Okay, well,
look at the other one. The other one's perfectly flat. It's a buckle.
It's style. I was going for
It's not
a twisted...
style. There's a thing called symmetry, you know? I mean, come on.
Oh. Okay, well, I was distracted. So it looks like we're going after the Witch Queen, so that's all.
Been going
happening.
after her for ages, but they don't have, oddly, the imagination to be able to do it. That's why we have the new angle of the hunt. They're getting bits. They're getting ideas of what kind of attacks would work. They're even working with the Winter Court through the diplomats. But
Are they? Oh.
Well, yes. I mean, you know, we have frequent wars, but we don't hate each other.
Well, that's what yeah, okay. Good to know.
Again, Fey life. And she says, but you're going to be ahead of a new hunt today.
I am?
Well...
A different one?
Yeah. I kind of wanted to do our thing, but let's... I think this would be advantageous. We've got time. Time is always on our side.
True. Okay.
And
untangle me then.
she sorts out the buckles, kind of picks at your hair for a bit, and kind of goes, it's always tough to you're at the front rather than the back.
Well, it's intentional, and I like which I've not done, I think, since so long ago, but I'll just flash my hair color around because I haven't done that. That was a thing that Cora could do.
Yeah. You settle on what color do you
It's
set?
almost
Hair color
what-
do you settle on?
I mean, I think as she sort of like plays with it, it's almost like, you know, cuttlefish do that sort of ripple. I think it just kind of ripples in colors, almost like it's being tickled in a weird way. As I don't know, it just ripples through until she corrects it, and then it kind of settles on a color. Maybe even while we're here, I guess a sort of almost well, I always think sort of almost an orangey red, a real sort of like
Copper, yeah.
Coppery color, something very fiery.
Nice. She steps back, satisfied, drains the glass, throws the glass. It shatters on the floor and turns into flower petals. And
Neat trick. We should try that at the tavern. That would be great.
I can teach you if you like.
Yes, because and then can I do it with a delay so that like Noki thinks that I've done it on purpose, and then it turns to petals, and then it's all like woo! Just for show.
Yeah, it's a simple enough glamour.
Okay, let's do it. After we've done the important stuff, but that would be great.
Of course. And she kind of takes you by the hand. You have a feeling that if you were the same size, she would kind of have your arm hooked through her arm in the very courtly way. But at the moment when you're walking, your hand is kind of like this because of the height difference between you two. She starts walking you through the palace. A very dejected Sunhawk looks back, kind of thought that you were going to jump on and fly around. I
think there's a little look between us because I was almost thinking we were going to do that too. So it's like, oh, we're walking.
You go down into the gardens and sat supping at some beautiful kind of wines, kind of really beautiful. It's like in crystal glasses, and these wines have got a kind of beautiful orange rosé kind of look to them. Is Eclipse and Glory, because both of them are asleep. Eclipse and Glory don't know where they are. This is a very pleasant dream that they're having. Farewell is still writing. He's now on Eastern Standard Time. But the other two, the second that you look at them, you know that they haven't come here the same way you have. You have seen dreamers in the Summer Court before. They have this slightly far away look to their eyes. And you can see both Glory and Eclipse, both of them believe that they are in their own dream and that they are dreaming this. That each of them feels like they're the main character in their own story. You're going to have to be delicate with them because otherwise they could rebel.
So the oyster fork, the oyster fork, I still don't understand this.
The Summer King, I need to put that one detail in, is who they're supping with. And he goes, an oyster fork? But
It is a very old custom, but depending on how you hold it, you mean different things, which is how many of wars have started throughout the ages.
I did try to do the proposal thing to Hope. She ignored me.
Of course she would. She's
I'm
a
curious.
priestess.
How does one... is it a serious proposal? I mean, how much commitment is an oyster fork proposal compared to, for example, killing their lover and declaring that your love was stronger?
Now that would take it, but it is mostly formality, like showing off for other people, like an already committed couple just does that naturally to show off that, hey, look, we're this
It's
serious.
bragging. Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
I cast silence on myself. This whole conversation is like
Eclipse is talking in
distracting.
her sleep.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
where you were going. I was
Just
like, you're
like-
not in the scene. And they went, oh, technically you are, yeah.
Technically, I am. As like, the thing
I
is, it's like, I
still
imagine it's also in Tabaxi as
Yeah.
well. So like all he can hear is like meow 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 meow.
I'd cast
and I'm just like,
silence too, dude.
Imagine, Nick, if you could use that in real life.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
man.
cast silence, so it's nice and quiet.
Oh.
I
So,
turn
yeah.
to Nola and just be like, are they here or not here? And should I be like saying that they're here or like pretending that they, what? How do I? How? Why? What? How?
She speaks to you in Arcadian Fae, which the other two don't understand, and the word that
I'm doing
she
this as we approach,
uses
so I'm
is
far away.
walker. She says they're walkers, and you know that means that they are people who are dreaming, who ordinarily would just stray into the Summer Kingdom, or they would stray into part of the dream wilds that the Summer Fae would be drawn to become part of the dreams, because that's how they can regain power. It's almost like a kind of feeding in the Dreamlands part of the Feywild. But the fact that they're here, and she said, but we engineered them walking here.
Where's Farewell?
He's not asleep.
Awake.
Oh. Is he still writing in that damn book? God damn
I presume
it.
so. We can't find him anywhere. We'd be able to find him anywhere in the Dream Wilds.
Right.
He really needs to get a regular sleep schedule.
Yeah, I mean, who would not go to sleep at a sensible hour? Anyways. Okay, well,
We've got topical.
Meta!
She says, "I'm sure Father will explain." So you can see as there's this oyster fork, by the way, for Felicia and Corinne, you are speaking to anime pretty boy, tall, clearly older but not showing any age, authoritative. There's a little bit of automatic senpai that just gets put into your head over this guy, if not outright admiration for this beautiful burning figure. And he can look different to each of you.
Alright. Now,
He doesn't look different to Cora, because Cora sees what's actually there.
Yeah. Now, if you angle your fingers and the fork while you stab it into the oyster, you are effectively telling the other person you're talking to that you want a blood feud with them.
Ooh.
I tried that too, and Hope ignored me again. So.
Well, yes, she would.
Because I don't think she actually thought that I knew what I was doing. Which I
Well, probably.
I mean, do you really want a blood feud with Hope?
I mean, hi, Cora.
Hi.
My
No.
knight, my daughter, and her heart's guard. Please sit amongst us. We're all friends here. And he turns to you and Cora. Cora, and says again in Summer Fae that the other two don't understand. Although he says it so elegantly that a smile appears on both Eclipse and Glory. He said, "I brought you some bloodhounds."
Right. Cool.
Bloodhound.
So does it matter how aggressively you stab the fork? Is there like a scale
No.
of blood feud here? I mean, is there like a difference between, like tickling the oyster? That sounds rather rude. Do you stab it? And he takes the oyster fork and stabs the oyster elegantly with no perceivable effort and shatters both the oyster shell and the plate.
Now that is impressive. But no, it does
Is
not
that, like,
matter.
the
If you want
most
a more
blood feud?
severe blood feud where you involve your family, then you go to take that during dessert.
There are dessert ones as well. Why haven't we invited these lovely people here before, darling? At
They
which
have
point-
slaves.
and he's referring to Enola here, and Enola goes, I have no idea, Father. And you can see there's this admonishment that only a daughter can do to her father of, oh God, these are a bad influence on him. He started off kind of being in total control of the situation as he just called you by name through the dream world to his side, and now he's there obsessed with this oyster fork. And you're really seeing, Cora, the fickle nature of the Summer King at this point.
Oh.
So, guests, please tuck in. No ceremony. Don't worry. It doesn't matter how you drink the wine. You're not going to propose or anything. So, a different kind of hunt. We've found a great deal here, but I realize that we're missing some of the assets that we could indeed use here. We need to use mortals. And I think what could be better than two delightful guests like yourselves helping Sir Cora in the enactment of her duties. You obviously will not have any power, but you will be able to tag. I love that word, tag. I learned it in Ostercard, actually. But yes, so you would be able to tag certain points of interest, and Sakura could take you there and hopefully be able to divine some more information. Now, I have one lead in particular. Unfortunately, the mind that it's attached to is a little fragile. He dreams, and will be dreaming for some time yet. He sleeps more now than in his youth. I think he takes some form of medication to ensure that he has, at least for his body, a peaceful sleep. And yet he repeats the same scenes over and over again. A Fae, on their own, would probably not be able to notice some of the subtleties of what he has found. But maybe you can.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm always up for a game.
So, Cora, they would be useless in this situation. For all their power in Mundus, all of their abilities, all of their skills mean nothing here. They are simply narrative detail, you understand?
Yeah.
Are you calling us useless?
Not at all. Not at all. It's just that Sakura is particularly attuned to this realm of existence. He switches into true Fae and says to you, no, seriously, they can't be killed, but neither can they really affect the landscape in any way. They're observers. Bloodhounds, yes?
Yeah. More bloodhounds than acid throwers. It's all good. And which I say.
Oh yes, the acid will
Elven
do
or something.
nothing. She will see the person going, help me, and you guys hear, Coresho. Help me, I'm dying. And to her, it will be an amusing vignette in front of her.
Right.
But nothing will actually happen.
Okay, well, as long as they're kept amused, I guess.
Exactly.
All right. Okay. Adventure time. Who is this person?
Yes, here we go. Leandros. He is a very old elf, around about 3,000 years old. He's, I believe his connection with partially arcane and partially divine magic has suffused his form. I doubt he knows how old he is himself these days, so mired as he is in trying to unravel certain mysteries, which I think he shot past long ago. I can give you...
I do love mysteries.
And he reaches out, touches your hand, Cora. I can give you his likeness. And suddenly, you just know this guy. He's very, very heavy, white-haired elf, slightly disheveled and almost feral now, but originally a high elf. Tall, elegant, but actually showing age now. Slightly cataracty, far away look to his eyes. And not the kind of lithe and gaunt frame that you're accustomed to. Starting to look a little emaciated, a little frail. Look into his mind. Some things that he has seen, he might be able to make use of. Maybe in your name, or you may be able to make use of them yourself.
Okay. I'll take hold of Glory and Eclipse's hands and close my eyes and try and head into the mind of this person that I can picture.
You hear a disappointed "ee" from your son Hawk, who wanted to carry you there, as suddenly the
I don't know
world
how to
shifts
do this.
between your feet. And instead of riding through the summer sky on the back of a beautiful sunhawk with your two friends behind you, who would fit oddly because that kind of thing just works in dreams. Instead, you just choose the express route and step forward, and for you, there's a slight lurch in your stomach. But for the two girls, they've always been here. This is the dream, right?
Yeah, we're cut to the scene now.
Yeah.
It's like a movie.
Yep. The only effort is through you, Cora, because they're just floating away on the wind. You are the wind.
Okay. Right. Start delving, looking for something that's of importance, or
You're in a large library. Beautiful, large, tall marble columns. A cold but strangely ethereal marble or similar floor. Vaulted ceiling painted with beautiful landscapes. Part of the meta-astrology of this world, which shows the kind of planar divisions. And you can see a much younger version of your quarry thumbing through books. No. A librarian toddles up, little gnome. Can I help you, sir? No, it's okay. I'm not sure what I want myself. I know it's in amongst his work here, but something about
Ooh, library.
ancient. Oh, hello. Ancient finds and the.
Can I
Yes,
have
my
that
lady.
book, please? I
Which-
point to one of the ones in front of him, because this is a dream. I'll get the exact one I need if I just point.
You know, you can't read it because you can't read books in dreams. Like, the text is just, like, weird.
He takes the book out and goes, "Oh, but of course." He looks at it and studies it for a moment to go, "Shit, is this the one I want?" He's kind of like putting himself first, and then goes, "One of his foundation works. I've read it. You can't go wrong." And you start thumbing through a book. The book is very informative about stuff and things that you're sure will become relevant retrospectively later on if they need to be, because that's how dreams work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
I wonder if they have anything about the Vajrayoda in it.
that's a few stacks down. This is an antiquity section. You're in the right section. You walk down and you start reading things that you never thought possible about the heart of Juradan. It blows your mind.
It's stuff I already know.
No, this is new stuff. This is new and exciting stuff that you'll absolutely remember when you get out the dream.
Yeah.
You've cracked it. I mean, it's all here. Everything makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, with your two glow bugs flying off in different directions, Cora. Although saying that, Glory's just thumbing through a book behind him. He goes, let's see, Lost Kingdoms. I know it's not there. I've read that book too many times now. Too many.
Ooh, Lost Kingdoms. I like Lost Kingdoms. What Lost Kingdom are you looking
He pulls
for?
out the book and throws it at you. It does hover in the air as Mage Hand levitates it, and he goes, "Be my guest." Now, he was onto something. He was onto something regarding the form of the self. Form of the self as an avatar. So I'm guessing journeys of the mind. But transubstantiations is also relevant. They're both such ponderous tomes. Which one today? Journeys of the mind. Pulls it out, and the gnome goes, "Oh, very good, sir. Also, no throwing books, please." And dodders off down one of the stacks. And he turns to Cora. You see, my friend, it's all here. I'm sure it's all here. I'd have to go and speak to people myself and visit the places as well, I'm sure, but I honestly believe that this creature is an example of absolute devotion to the form, becoming it. It requires, yes, a certain amount of arcane prowess to start with. But then once you're willing to completely give yourself over, in the same way as the various pacts and devotions to gods, it is in the end a sheer act of will that allows you to reform yourself as if you were your own personal god. Come, I know I have bored you about this so many times. This is the point where you look down, Cora, and you are a wood elf. You had thought that something was wrong. Yeah, and that is that you're not looking at his knee.
You're suddenly really tall.
You're like, oh yeah. You're also male.
Yep.
It's a wood elf. It's not impressive. But the
Cannon.
Yeah,
oh, God.
sure is now. The DM said it.
He says, come, my friend. Throws his arm around your shoulder as if you have known each other for centuries, which may well be the case, and takes you off to one of the research rooms. He starts flicking, like, kind of fistfuls of pages at a time, and goes, here we are. It is said that for certain form-changing manifestations, for example, vampirism, that vampirism at its core tenets, once you strip all of the causality away and bring it down to a fundamental level, quintessential, you do notice that even though Glory didn't follow you, she starts thumbing through. You look to the side, and Glory's in the room thumbing through the book still.
Yeah.
You can also see that sat on the floor, surrounded by books about the heart of Juradan, is Eclipse. You have a feeling that you might be their anchor to this dream, and when Eclipse looks up, yeah, she was always here. What? Perfectly natural for those two.
Yep.
Vampirism is a becoming of the self once one has lost one's self. Think of it. Heroes with their confidence have defeated vampires. Clerics so connected with their faith as a sheer act of will combined with their god have defied even the most powerful vampire with a word. Because they have lost their souls. They are shell. I believe that vampirism is an avatar of emptiness. It's why they try to take in that of others, to try and remember what they are. When they expire, because they do not take it in, it's because they completely lose that last grain of self, at which point they cease to exist, and the shell is just matter once more.
I know too little to comment about that. I would ask Aiden or Parvel about that.
We will do that.
He looks
yeah,
down and says, "Your cat's meowing very loudly."
Okay, yeah. Good kitty.
Yes. They really should change that statue. It's very burlesque. But the and he does point at Glory at this point.
I mean,
This being of jealousy, envy, bitter hatred, and vengeance, to be so consumed that she cuts the tethers of everything that made herself whole and wonderful, sever herself from the rest of her being, herself, her id, and to float away, taking the physical form, the power, the connection to the maelstrom, all of the things that kept her functional in this world. It makes one wonder, did part of her go back to the Cascade? Are we looking at a being for which the soul has already left? Or are we looking at a being for which the soul is there and twisted and taunted, and everything else that was cut away either ended up being its own separate being, perchance? Or did that get lost? Is it that when you split, how does one split a soul?
Huh.
How does one split a soul, Darian? It's required to understand this. I think the act of becoming any of this is
restricted section.
the restricted section might know something about this.
yeah. I was thinking exactly the same.
Great minds think alike.
We do. I kind of glance at Glory. Yeah.
The
Restricted section. Always.
Yes, the
I mean,
restricted
it's
section
restricted
has
for
a
a
thing
reason.
about splitting souls and Horcruxes.
It's a good thing that we got that license to be able to go. I had it signed by the dean last night, and he reaches into his pocket, and you know it wasn't there a second ago, pulls it out and goes, "I thought this might become handy.
Of course.
What do you say, old man? You ready?"
Yes, very much so. Let's go.
Yes.
He
I'll join.
he jumps up and says, "Let's go," and tosses a treat to Eclipse and says, "Come on. You really should have a cat familiar. I always thought, you're a cat person, Dad."
I mean, I kind of do. I mean, this is kind of like a come on, a clip. I call it Eclipse. Eclipse. Can I bring the statue? I'm just gonna bring the statue, just so you know. It's gonna come.
You want to bring the statue?
Yeah, it's really it moves on its own. It's fine. It's fine. It's
Really, it's an arcane object.
That's
so
why.
distasteful for an arcane object. I mean, come on, what woman dresses like that? Really?
very few, but they do get noticed when they.
Well, they do get noticed. They're right in front of me. Look at them. Anyway, there's.
Tough point, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's sometimes the point. I mean, it's often.
This is a place of study, for crying out loud. You're
Well,
supposed to be concentrating on
distractions.
other things.
Good.
You can't focus on your studies with these out, then you really aren't that dedicated.
I suppose it's a test of dedication. He's not listening to her, and yet what she's saying is influencing his thoughts. Perhaps this is one of the many enigmas in this
I mean,
hallowed hall.
yeah.
And he's looking directly at Glory's chest and goes, maybe this is one of the enigmas in this hallowed hall.
I
Turns
mean,
on his
they work amongst distractions. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I am
restricted session.
familiar. Yes.
At which point he goes, I've always said that that's the best kind of familiar you could have, Darian. I really have. At which point it becomes canon that Darian had a cat familiar in his head, weirdly, in the dream. He says, come, let's go. He opens up the door, and you know this door opened into the antiquities section, but the second he opens the door and you step through, You're in a section to which there is a eldritch knight standing in the middle of the vestibule between these much smaller stacks, marching backwards and forwards, watching the researchers and watching to see what they have taken out. This very hoity-looking human says, "License." He hands it. Yes, I see. Soul manipulation. Working for the Queen herself to make sure that nobody does it. We need more of your kind, sir. Please. Bay 8, please only use shelf 3C. Anything else, and you shall be reprimanded and asked to leave immediately. Come, Darian, come.
Right, shelf free.
In a dream, do I look like a normal house cat now?
To him, yes, but to Cora, you look full-sized.
Yeah.
And you, because you are now buying into the dream, I'm a cat, a real cat. You're a cat, from your point of view.
Okay.
So it looks a bit weird when you jump on the table, being that the cat jumping on the table is fine. You jumping on the table, you take up most of the table, and you just see this guy just idly scritching his hands through Eclipse's fur on her head, like she's an itty witty kitty. But he's there, he's kind of there, and starts kind of patting her under the chin and stuff, and he goes, "Yes, yeah. It is considered to be one of the great blasphemies to split the soul. And so it doesn't say what happens to the soul, only that endangering of the form denies the possibility of access to the cascade."
And when I push everything off the table, all the things, like Scorpio said.
You see that everything else gets pushed off the table. He absent-mindedly catches the book, puts it back on the table, and goes, "Naughty," and taps you on the nose. One of the great blasphemies, to deny a soul access to the cascade, to either go back round again and to know life again, or to reside with the gods in the astral sea. Most of these are curses, acts of pure evil. It's also why it's always been questionable about the use of souls in hell. Souls for sustenance. Are they...
It's free real estate.
I mean, it really is a kind of real estate when you think about it. Soulless. Pardon the expression.
Yeah.
But what happens to that soul? Is it cleansed as part of it? Does the fiend suck out all of the darkness and allow the rest of the soul to go back to the cascade? Or is it that they are blaspheming by license?
Do you think if
Interesting conundrum.
if a soul's if a soul can't go to the cascade, they might. What if they could make their own?
Their own what?
Place.
Shouldn't you ask a priest of the Raven Queen this?
If only we had a priest of the Raven Queen
Yeah,
here.
that would be really helpful. If only one was just right here asleep right now and not writing in a book or something, that would be great.
He better not write in a book here. He'd be thrown out. Yes, it would be convenient for one to be just dozing in the corner.
Yes,
Wouldn't it?
screw the poor cleric who has terrible nightmares and barely sleeps at night. What a terrible thing it must be to be him. No wonder he doesn't enjoy sleeping. Oh,
But
she's awake again. I recast silence.
What if someone that was this little cat talking? What if someone a soul couldn't go to the cascade, and instead it tried to make its own metaplane to have an afterlife?
He absentmindedly pulls a treat out of his pocket and feeds it to Eclipse, who takes it gratefully, and he goes, I mean, if you think about it, where would that end? Denying a soul, taking it off the track to the cascade, it could go anywhere. Not just to the hells, and not just into this avatar form. I mean, it could, by design, with enough power and proficiency in the arcane arts, even make its own metaplane and start creating its own afterlife. Is that what happens with an avatar? It's packaging its own afterlife in the mundane plane and in the physical plane. Is that what the Witch Queen is now? That it is lost to all other forms of fate, that its fate is encapsulated within its single form. Think about it. It would have all that power compared to a regular mortal being, but it would feel, I'm not even looking at chat because I know I'll break the character, it would be terrified. Think about it, the faithful, those of Cord, the Cordish warriors, know that if they die in battle, they will wake up in the Hall of Swords to the clamor and applause of long-dead warriors of great and old. Mortal beings do not fear death as much as they fear the incorrect afterlife. To have yourself so ripped in this way, to encapsulate oneself, so that their afterlife is in the physical plane that other people get to leave to a place of safety. Yes, this being has become something that it yearned for more than anything else. But I believe, as with all things, time brings wisdom. And as this being really realizes that it has burnt the bridges behind it, that part of themselves that they cut away, unable to have it again, because they didn't just cut away the part of them that could love, that could feel mercy, that could feel compassion. They didn't just cut away those parts that they had now, but also their capability of having them.
So
I believe this creature is the most terrified being on Mundus.
terrifying or terrified? What did you just say?
Terrified. It fears the hereafter more than anything else, and not just oblivion. I wonder if this creature was to be denied its mortal physical frame, finally severed from it, that it would be adrift in maddening silence for the rest of eternity, unguided to a resting place by the gods. What would it do, dear fellow? What would it do if suddenly it found that threatened? Anything at any cost.
Well, if it feels that this is because of splitting its soul, maybe reforming that soul would change things.
But the parts cut off, does the leg live when you sever it from the body? I believe that those parts have gone the way of everything else. They were no longer living. I believe that the soul has a core, and that this edge taken off cannot be grown back, that it is a damned creature.
Of course not. But you can't switch it with someone else if that's what you're into.
Maybe they could graft parts of other souls upon it. I don't know if it would be a permanent or a temporary thing, but it is intriguing.
To form one whole
Well,
soul.
the skill
from-
level required would be greater if you wanted to be permanent, as well as the willing sacrifice on the other person's part, but, you know.
I guess that's the thing, isn't it? The vampire, the witch queen, they consume a form of living matter or anima to be able to sustain themselves. Is it that they just haven't yet gained the proficiency, the skill, to be able to make it permanent? Are they on some form of journey to perfect themselves and terrified that if they are defeated or destroyed, and they haven't yet completed that journey, that they won't be able to make themselves whole or be able to pass into the hereafter as a whole soul.
Definitely feels like that might be the case for the Witch Queen, at least.
Yes. And as such,
Searching.
I believe that you can now profile the psychology of such a being, where before we wouldn't be able to empathize with them, so alien that they are to our own thought processes. Think about it. If the safest thing is to hide, they would hide, bide their time, study, work through agents. But then if something was to hunt them, they would have to start by desperate means. They'd have to gather resources. They would have to gather a form of defensive structure or infrastructure around themselves, gain more allies, gain favor. We see this all the time with kings and queens and heads of guilds and factions. And yet, we have seen sporadic moments where elder vampires, liches, demi-liches, suddenly show themselves after hundreds of years. Is it that if you just leave them alone, they will ruminate? They're only dangerous when provoked. Or if they're given a reason to be provoked. I guess we can't always put the onus on ourselves. And this is why I believe that if we are to pursue a being like the Witch Queen, we have to provide a form of threat. It does, of course, mean that they would target us preferentially in order to be able to wipe out the threat and return to their holding pattern. To do so would place us in danger. Not in simply in mortal danger, but I believe that dabbling with elder beings like this would start to tax the mind. And especially for those of us who live longer than... And he gestures towards the statue in the corner of the room. Their kind. We would hold on to those scars in our minds. Allow them to fester and twist. I can't ask you to join me, Darian. But I do wish that I do not take this research alone. I think that we would provide such a great service, not only to Her Majesty, but to so many others. We could crack the back of what it is to be undead or fiendish. We may even be able to trace, using this methodology, back to the very formation of the fiendish entities themselves. Maybe even touch the feet of the gods.
That is an exciting prospect.
It is. And as with everything of great asset, there shall be a price. I ask you only to assist me, dear friend. And he clutches both of your hands. Assist me, but I shall bear the brunt of the blow.
All right. I'll be there for you.
Ow.
We set off at dawn. Let's provoke.
All right. Let's do it.
And with that, that's a good point to stop. And thank you, Felicia and Corinne, for suddenly riffing with the fact that you're not directly in the scene, but they're still able to affect it.
Yeah.
Different flavors of involvement. Yep, it is 11:08 here, and we are going to stop.
I
big
promise
thank
Lori
you.
knows nothing about souls at all.
Mm-hmm. Or does she?
Yeah, but you know someone who knows a lot about souls. Oh, hello, Foodcart. Thank you for joining us. Big thank you to Corinne, Nick, Kate, and Felicia for their story today. And for all of you guys watching at home, as always, it is my joy to be your DM, and for bearing with us for up to episode 101 as the plots are starting to present themselves stronger and stronger. and I'm glad now we're getting into some of the metaphysics of the plot as well.
Oh my god,
that we
my brain
can
though.
start
Kate's
presenting
struggling.
you. We can present you with different ways of investigating. So thank you, Nick. I hope I didn't make you squirm for too long. But
Only
hey,
as much as I deserve.
you can mess with time now. So hey, by
That's
the
not going to
way,
get complicated at all.
No.
I had to place limits on it all. There's a reason why I will never, ever, ever run mage. Yeah.
So much BS can be done in that system.
Oh my god. Thankfully, it is self-regulating because you've got paradox spirits like Wrinkle, who is the paradox spirit of time, who will come and slap the years out of you if you mess with time too much. But even then, or brain.
Yeah, because like what you told me, the only fun mage to play is like low level mage. As soon as you get into like as
high
soon as
level
you get
mage,
into
it's like roll initiative. What do? I turn everybody's heads into sugar into sugar cubes and make it rain tea, that kind of thing. And and you get. Was it Thon, which is I create a new radiation called Thon, which is the radiation of gender ambiguity. The more of it that you get, the more gender ambiguous you become. And literally you can make shit up like that in Mage. It's
Oh my god.
great to play. I only know one DM who has been able to consistently do it for years. Actually, two now. Actually, sorry, Zoe. Who's been able to do it consistently. And how they do it, I will get a hat and take it off to them. Wow. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, and we will be back next week. And I think next week is probably going to be the last week where we're only going to have one stream. We are going to week after next, because next week is Session Zeros, which are going to be held off stream. But we are going to be having Lancer, Blades in the Dark, and Numenera joining us as well. And not just me shouting my mouth off as well. So you're going to be able to listen to other people. So thanks very much, everybody. We are going to raid as usual, because we're going to make it as usual. But until then, take care of yourself. See you on Discord. Good night.
Night.
Night.